all have felt, I think, between different worlds, between different hearts. And I can definitely tell you it's a privilege. It's a very good thing to be torn between 2 or 3 or 4 hearts. And we will learn now from our panelists what that means. But we also open the stage to you, and you can also share your knowledge, can share learnings, or also ask questions to us. So with further ado, we have different generations here. First, second, and 0 generation. Yes, you said that like
Not
this.
German, right?
So maybe, Luis, you can start with the 0 generation. What is this, and
So I
how
don't
do
know.
you feel?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know exactly how you count first generation German, second generation German. I'm not born here. I'm Brazilian. I've applied for my citizenship. So my name is Luis. I moved here 7.5 years ago from Brazil. Today I lead Caselink, which is an AI company where we automate bureaucracy-related processes to Germany.
Cool. That's nice. Jing, maybe you. What are you doing?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jing. I'm the German-born Chinese founder of 2Me Studio, which is a new gifting and illustration brand. And I'm also the host of You Rise Me Up, which is a podcast about Asian Europeans. So I'm actually more used to asking questions than answering them.
Good to know. Maybe we can switch roles.
Yes. Hi, I'm Merve. I'm third generation here. Yes, and I'm founding Evalify Culture Intelligence at the moment. We are developing a platform for people to make better job decisions. We are developing a new scientific base on how we define and talk about company culture. Yeah, that's what I do.
Cool. We have a diverse crowd here, also sitting in front of us. Like, what are your 2 hearts? And what phrase or word describes you best?
So what are my 2 hearts?
What's
So I'm Brazilian. I've lived in France as well, lived in the UK, and I lived in Germany, longest in Germany now. Guess these are my hearts. So basically, these are the cultures where I grew up with. The phrase that probably best, I think I'm like stupidly curious.
stupidly curious?
Yes, I think that it can lead me to trouble sometimes. But I'm very, very curious about people, about problems, about things. I'm interested. Yeah.
Cool. I think a lot of people are here curious. That's why you came also here.
Yeah, my 2 hearts are, I would say, German and Chinese, but I also lived in the UK for 5 years. I lived in Canada. I lived in China. My parents actually grew up in the Netherlands, and on paper, I'm German and Dutch. So you tell me. But the word that I would describe myself with is, I would say, warmth. Warmth.
Warm, okay.
Because I really like people, I like talking to people, I like asking people questions, and I like spending time with people. Human connection is very important to me.
Very nice. Merve, are you 2 hearts, and what word or phrase describes you best?
So my parents are from a Turkish background. I was born in Germany, was raised here for the most of my life. And I recently discovered there is a word for something I could never describe because I have many interests. I have ADHD, so I've had several hobbies throughout my life. And I recently discovered there is a word for it, and it's generalist, apparently. So I think I'm going to go with that.
The question, have you ever felt between 2 worlds? Have you ever felt you have to choose? Maybe you can say something.
So the question, if I've ever had to choose between 2 worlds. Yeah. So before coming to Germany, I was living in London with my wife, and we knew that it wouldn't be forever. So I had to take a choice. We would either come to Germany or go to Brazil. And then, of course, there we had to choose. And, I don't know if you guys ever lived or had the experience to be in developing countries. It's normally easier than to be a foreigner there. So if you take the sum of the experience of me and my wife, we decided it would be easier to come here for career, for kind of life. So that's why we chose. I don't know. This is the moment that I chose coming to Germany. At the beginning, I didn't think settle here. I thought I had one more move in me, but it didn't happen. So I've been here for 7.5 years now.
Oh, very cool. The people in the back can hear us. Oh, we try to speak up a little bit. And then if that doesn't work, we have a mic and we still use that mic. So just raise your voice a little bit. Now you, Jing.
All right. So I grew up in a town in southern Germany, So growing up, like many of you, felt like I had to change myself and I had to like reject my cultural background to fit in. The more time I spent abroad and getting to know other multicultural people, the more I learned what it means to your cultural identity, but also what the difference is between fitting in and belonging. Because when I was younger, I really wanted to fit in, which means change yourself and core parts of yourself to try to be accepted by the group and other people. But the difference I learned from like this researcher called Brené Brown is that belonging actually means to be who you are and to find the people that accept you the way you are. And yeah, I mean, now that I'm older and wiser, hopefully, I try to belong rather than fit in.
We have the mic now, and I think now it's better.
Yes. So growing up in Germany, I know that people want to read you a certain kind. They ask you to define yourself. So I think as the third generation born here, they had multiple identity crises. So yes, definitely was torn between two cultures or maybe more, maybe something in between, which is an own culture. But yeah, and when I moved abroad, actually, I think that was the biggest identity question I've had. I lived in London for a while, and there I wasn't the Turkish girl, which I was in Germany, or I am, but I was the German girl. And I didn't define myself as German, but coming from Germany, I was defined from people. Multiple times I switched in between identities up until I settled for I don't have to define myself at all because my identity is complex. It's not just something I could describe with one word or one country or ethnicity. It's just complex being born here and coming from a different culture.
Totally agree. It's definitely complex. And you already touched upon a different aspect, and it's what you make out of it, the strength. I strongly believe that we have privilege to have more than one heart. And this makes us also, in a way, special, and we can gather energy out of it. But how about you? Have you experienced something that made you stronger? Or maybe also the other way around? Have you experienced something where you said to yourself, why do I have too many hearts? I'm not like the normal person here outside. I'm looking different. Something about strength or something a challenge.
I want to talk about like maybe two levels here, the professional and the personal, of course. So yes, of course, on a personal level, having these two hearts made me stronger. You're more tolerant to a certain extent, and you're able to put yourself in some other people's shoes and understand other perspectives just because you've been there, right? So you've been the foreigner, you've been the local, you've been in different positions. You start to empathize with more ease to other people. It's like, look, it's just not one way to things, not one way to be happy, not one way to kind of operate. And kind of people have different choices and different preferences. You wear this one, some other people are that one. It doesn't mean that you're right. It just means that you're different. It allowed me to respect much more of that on a personal level. On a professional level, advantages of disadvantages of having two hearts, moving around quite a lot. The funny thing is that when I moved to Germany to work with France, and I'm Brazilian, so I was hired to kind of manage the French market. All the rest of the French team look at me, what? Yeah, I've been there. I speak the language. It's kind of opened that opportunity for having two hearts, open professional opportunity. Weren't there before. But on the other hand, closed a few as well. Still today, I don't speak German to a C1 level. So, and a lot of positions are required for you to speak German and native level. It's a cultural thing, not only a language. So yes, having these two hearts literally comes with advantages, disadvantages along the road. These choices, sometimes you make, sometimes they're made for you. But yeah, you suffer or benefit from the consequences.
Good job on asking difficult questions, Dilem.
Thanks.
So I would say one thing I really struggled with is actually a lack of guidance, because contrary to popular belief, my parents, they are of Chinese descent, but they never really told me what to do, but they were always working and they didn't go to university. So when it came to choosing what to do, I actually had no idea. And it took me a very, very long time to figure out what it is that I actually love, independently from what everyone else expects to do, which is also why I changed careers a lot. Like, I'm a serial career changer. I went from politics to tech to freelance journalism before I realized slowly over time that I'm actually a creative at heart. And it took me a lot of overcoming a lot of self-reflection, and also a breakup with one of my, a business breakup with one of my closest friends, to start the creative business that I'm running. So yeah, that's that. And I would say that my 2hearts have helped me in that they have made me more open and empathetic towards other people, and just generally curious about other cultures and industries.
Yeah, I can relate. I think growing up in two different cultures or having more than 2hearts make us different. We are approach diverse, we listen differently, we know different kind of normalities, if you will. So I definitely go with that. And I also think that the strength, as you said also, that the strength comes from the challenge we face, especially in this country. I don't think I would do what I do. I wouldn't be building a culture intelligence company if I wouldn't have 2hearts or was growing up in two different cultures. Yeah, that's definitely a strength. I think we also have to acknowledge that it is a pain sometimes. It is a struggle, whether you're in a supermarket shopping or looking for a job or an apartment. We are seeing definitely struggles. And yeah, I don't know if we have another choice than making it a strength. But I definitely for sure can say I wouldn't have another path or another identity, because I think it's a great asset to bring.
Really like how positive you frame everything here, because we have to take it as it is, and we have to make actually the best out of it, and see everything as a not learning, but yeah, as a positive asset. Now I want to open the stage for questions. Maybe something you wanted to learn from our panelists, or you want to share something that you can relate to or not relate to. Is there anything? I know you're all hungry. You can already please take something to eat. Maybe then a question pops into your mind.
That's right.
You can ask questions, whatever you want.
Because I thought it was a question, so I don't know if we're asking all the questions and then being answered.
I think we just take 2 questions. Yeah, let's take 2 questions and then.
So you mentioned earlier there's not just one way of doing something. Being, a local variety of experiences gives us, in a way, strength and opportunities. That really resonated with me. But the question goes to the 3 of you. My question is, especially for example, in Germany, the Stimmung, for lack of a better word, is that there's typically one way of doing things. How are you able to convince or to show that actually there are different ways? We don't, have to do it this one way. The saying over here is if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But, what you said resonated with me. So how did you, in your professional experience, learn communicate in a way that you were able to influence how something was done differently?
Try to do things proportionally. Say, how risk is this? What's the size of the risk that could be taken here? And does it make sense to change or not? Increasing the pace as you convince people as you go. But this is, I've implemented it in my my career here. I totally resonate with you. You can't generalize, but there's quite a lot of risk aversion. But this is what I've done. What worked for me is doing things step by step, gradually. Hard to change everything at once. Well, now that I'm starting my own company, it's kind of all at once for me, but it does take time.
Question, and I have to admit that on it, I've actually mostly worked for international companies, even here in Germany, which means that they were more open to new approaches to things. But I can say that in general, because I grew up here in Germany, when I try to convince people of a new idea, especially in a professional context, I try to highlight the benefits it brings to the business, because that's what they care about and building relationships. I'm not sure if that is because of my Chinese background, because we focus on relationships first, but I have found that that actually works really well across cultures, even with Germans, because at the end of the day, like, everyone is human and we like to support people that are kind to us, right? So that is my general approach in and outside of a company.
Yeah, very good question, bro. Still figuring it out, because Germans are stubborn, and also diving into German work culture because of my company. At the moment, it's intense, and I've worked with internationals, but mostly with Germans, with old German companies, rooted old German companies. And what I realized is, if they don't want to change something, often they try to protect something. And I figured out giving them the feeling that they wouldn't lose what they're trying to protect always helped, whatever that is, because usually people just try to grab to the knowns and are not open, or from my experience, are not open for new things, changes, especially in typical German work cultures. So I would go with figuring out what they try to protect. It's not always as simple as they want to stay in the comfort zone. Sometimes it's more emotional, I would say.
We have room for one more question.
So one question, because I myself have the feeling that sometimes I feel like a representative of my migrant group in some, even if I'm not a political representative, right?
Thank you. Very good and tough.
It's a tough one. You're necessarily bearing the standard of your country whenever you say, hey, I'm from here. It's hard because a lot of people tend to generalize, oh, you are from that, therefore this. And you don't want to generalize yourself. Right? And you can say, oh, I'm from there, but this doesn't work there. Everything works. There's a country like Brazil, for example, it's a country with 200 million people. There's kind of, extroverted, introverted, kind of all kinds of colors, everything. So it's hard for you to manage the generalization and bear the standard of your country at the same time. I don't know if I have a good answer for this, but I think that what I try to do most of the time is doing the opposite. It's like, I know that I'm Brazilian, but that's me. The answer is don't work for 200 million people. That's how I see things, and not generalize to the country. Like, look, where I'm from, in the city I'm from, or the culture that I come from, kind of in my family. I never say in Brazil. That's how it's hard. It frequently it's not. It doesn't have to be scientifically true, but it's also not representative either. I don't have a good answer. Sorry about that, but. I try to make it much more smaller and much more, look, yes, I'm Brazilian, but this is me to things, rather than, hey, I'm representing, like, I'm the ambassador of my country. 2 steps later, you're going to find someone contradicts you and say, no, but I've been to Brazil, and kind of, people don't do that there. Or I met someone who doesn't do that. So I take the other approach. And I'm like, look, yes, I'm from Brazil, but this is my culture.
It's something that has haunted me for a long time, because as you can see, I look Chinese. Because of that, it will always associate me with China. The even more difficult part is, as a German-born Chinese, I feel like because the media representation of China is so negative in Germany, I feel like I cannot have an opinion on China, which is really sad, because I even study politics, right? And I used to want to become a diplomat, to be honest. But there's also a really interesting story actually about a US diplomat of Chinese descent. He started working for the US, but because he was Chinese looking, the Chinese hated him. The Americans thought people would love him, but the Chinese hated him because he looked Chinese. They thought, okay, because he looks Chinese, he has to work for China. He has to represent Chinese interests. I sometimes feel like I'm under a similar pressure because I look Chinese, and I often avoid publicly talking about my opinions on German or Chinese politics. But it's also the reason why I didn't want to become a diplomat anymore, because I realized as a diplomat, you will always have to represent the opinion of your country on a public, even if you don't agree with that position, which just doesn't align with my values. But yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I just try to But I've really been in situations where people who've never been to China viewed with me, a former intelligence analyst, with a focus on East and Southeast Asia, about what it is like to be in China and so on. And I just think it's like terrible. But then I think it's a very human trait to think that you're like always right. But I think that is really where the 2hearts part comes in, where it's like really important to just like listen and see the person as a person independently of any cultures they are part of. So that is like my answer to that. But yeah, it's like a very, very difficult thing. Yeah, people are definitely visually biased because I've never had anyone ask me about Germany.
I don't think we have found a solution for internalized racism yet. And I don't think we, as people who experience racism, we cannot have a direct influence on it. It's not ours, but we have to live with it. For me personally, I'm going to try not to overshare, but for me personally, when I reached the moment, as I said earlier, I decided I don't want to define myself. So I don't want to I don't want to educate people about myself, but see myself as a complex being. And also, not everyone has the privilege to experience this complexity of myself. That's how I protect myself. Or when people see me that way, that's kind of their problem. It's difficult. So still it bothers me, right? It is racist. It is a racist approach to assume who you are. So yeah, but I think I try to psychologically just distance myself and protect myself I cannot influence how people approach me, unfortunately.
Thank you for sharing your experience. And I strongly believe that this was a good end and also good beginning of a discussion. Anwar, I see you and Faria come to the stage, please, very spontaneously, because Anwar and now also Faria and we can come to the stage, the chapter leads of 2hearts. And nothing is possible without a good team. And nothing is possible without people like you being so curious, wanting to learn, wanting to share knowledge. And whenever you want something to share, you are always very welcome to just approach one of us. And we make anything possible.